Hey guys, Roman Reaper here. It's about a quick little review. So I just got done watching The Greatest Beer Run Ever, which is a new film on Apple TV Plus from Peter Farrelly of the Farrelly brothers. And yes, his follow-up to the Best Picture winner, Green Book. So this one kind of interested me just because of the whole premise of it, and yeah, hopefully be a kind of nice little light-hearted, entertaining, feel-good film. But is it? Let's find out. The film follows John Chicky Donahue, a New Yorker who is, good-natured and likable, but slightly dim-witted, and spends his days getting the rounds in at night and sleeping through the day. Until one day, him and a bunch of his mates were talking, and he drunkenly comes up with the idea to travel to Vietnam in the middle of the war to deliver beers to his friends fighting. So he hops on a boat, travels over there, and what he ends up encountering is, vast unspeakable horrors and a war correspondent. So yeah, the reception to this from the festivals, haven't been the best. Although given the sort of nature of it, I don't think it needed necessarily to be great reviews or anything, but given that this was at one point probably set up by Apple as a prime awards contender. But honestly, putting aside the whole reception of the film, I actually was pretty entertained by it. It's definitely got its issues, man, but for the most part, I definitely had a good time watching it, and more than likely you will as well. If you've got Apple TV Plus, it's definitely an entertaining way to spend 2 hours. Let's start with the good. First of all, Zac Efron as the lead is really good. He so perfectly embodies Chicky's likable but slightly simple nature, and later on, as he as his eyes begin to open to the real nature of the horrors going on in Vietnam, he sells it very well. As he starts off going in with this sort of black and white kind of naive view of it, and also I think we've got Russell Crowe. He brings a sort of just gentle emotion as a war correspondent Chicky encounters in his time in Vietnam. And there's a whole segment later on of these two bonding and witnessing atrocities taking place, and they're definitely a decent pairing. Obviously, Russell Crowe's not got a huge amount of screen time; he's more of a supporting role. But when he's on screen, he's likable, and he plays his role very well. And the film overall keeps itself, entertaining by keeping up a good sense of humor. For the whole sort of madness of Chicky's journey, and helps keep it a sort of light-hearted, feel-good sort of tone, and it definitely works. Obviously, the jokes are nothing majorly gut-busting, but there's a decent amount of fairly hearty chuckles. The film, it helps as well. The film is also very warmly shot. Obviously, nothing too special, but it's shot warmly and vibrantly. And there are some standout technical show-offy moments. Early on, there's a scene where we get a wide shot of Zac Efron walking into a church, and then the camera pans to across through the side of this church, and then ends with everyone walking out the door. That was a really cool moment. And there's another moment by midway through the film where Chicky and one of his soldier mates are traveling across the middle of a combat zone, and it utilizes a bit of handheld cam to properly capture the intensity of the situation. And there's some decent shots which are shown from the perspective of Russell Crowe's camera. That the film is obviously quite familiar in its story structure and how it plays out, and in terms of messaging, it sort of ironically takes the same sort of view as its protagonist takes, but it's a sort of simple. It starts off like quite simple, black and white, and by the end, sort of like has something to say about how there's the combat. It's messy and murky. It's nothing that hasn't been done before in this type of film, but it's appreciated, but it's not really new territory. And I will say, at times it is maybe a little tonally unsure of itself. Like, it doesn't quite have that quite perfect balance between the more light-hearted stuff and the heavier stuff. It does sort of slightly go on a little wrong. I would maybe trimmed it down a few minutes, because especially when it gets into the more serious stuff, I did feel it's sort of starting to drag on a bit. Not by too much though, especially as there's a sequence later on which captures a assault on Saigon, which perfectly captures the danger and horror wonderfully. That I feel like when it's not showing the horrors, it does sort of drag a little bit. But, overall, greatest beer run ever. It doesn't quite live up to the superlative in the title, let's be real, but it's a light-hearted, fun time, nothing too special, but it's well made, it's likable, you'll probably have a good time watching it. I'm going to give it a 6.5 out of 10. So yeah, let me know down in the comments, have you seen Greatest Beer Run Ever? What do you think of it? Do you think this has awards chances? Probably not, but let me know down in the comments. Don't forget the thumbs up button if you enjoyed, subscribe button if you're new, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.